How's everybody doing out there? Coming in a little late with the holiday video. This is my Easter video. 'Tis the season. Mix and match the holidays. What does it matter? As you can see here, this is Ishtar or Esther, who, with the continuance of the evidence, historically predates the Christian holiday known as Easter. And yeah, she's a very interesting goddess when you're looking at her little friends down here. And whoa, what's going on with her? Wow. Okay. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to look at the individual known as, I guess, Charles Royal. He signs his name Charles R, so I'm guessing that the R stands for Royal, because the royal family do not have last names because they're royal. They don't have surnames, or as some people like to say, slave names, because they're not slaves, supposedly. I don't know if I believe that, though. Anyways, we'll call him, in quotations, King Chucky. It's his Easter message. We're going to take a look at it. We're going to do forensics on it. And we're going to syntax it. Parse the word Easter, and we look it up. We see that it does start with two vowels in front of a consonant, so it is positive performance. And there's usually something special about those types of words. For example, east is a direction, a specific direction, having to do with the sun rise. So we have Old English Easter Day, from Estre, Northumbrian Eostre, from Proto-Germanic Ostron, which means dawn. What did I just say? East, dawn. Also possibly the name of a goddess whose feast was celebrated in Easter Monad, the Anglo-Saxon month corresponding with April. From Ost, east, towards the sunrise. From Pari root eus, to shine. Also, neighboring language use a variant of the Latin Pascha to name this holiday. Say Paschal. So this is the one I'm looking at. It basically means to shine. Now also, we can tie this into a number of threads. First of which being the Christian interpretation of Easter. One of the Christian interpretations of their Savior, Jesus, rising from the dead. Jesus is his son, right? Son of God, right? The sun is rising, right? In the east. Get it? I don't want to go too far into that, but it all adds up and it all connects together in a very interesting way if you really, really study it with an open mind and don't allow perhaps years of childhood pre-programming and cognitive dissonance get in your way. Here is Charles's, or Chucky, King Chucky's Easter message. And he says, "The abiding message of Easter is that God so loved the world, the whole world, that he sent his Son to live among us, to show us how to love one another, and to lay down his own life for others in a love that proved stronger than death." Is anybody else out there who's familiar with this character, King Charles? Is anyone else reading this in his voice? I hear his voice when I'm reading this. For some reason, it's very, very strange. Very strange. I can't even do an approximation of it. I'll try, though, for entertainment and educational purposes only. There are three virtues that the world still needs: faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love. Is with these timeless truths in my mind and my heart that I wish you all a blessed and peaceful Easter. Chucky all. Oh, bro. Can't do it. But anyways, on the surface, typical wishy-washy Christian rhetoric. All right. Talking about their belief system, their dogma. So, we notice a few things here. Look at these long dashes, which in the, what did Russell J. Gould call them? The 7 military codes of cipher or some such shit? I don't know. But one way to interpret the long dash when you're syntaxing and doing forensics is that it creates a full stop. So that you read what comes before the dash, the abiding message of Easter is that God so loved the world. Then, after the dash, you disregard it, and then you pick up again after the second dash, and then it continues on, and it will give you some sort of heretofore unknown message. It's like a code. But this doesn't really make a difference. I mean, unless you interpret it in such a way that they didn't want the whole world in there because it only applies to the elite or something like that. I don't know. So, the interesting thing about the principles of Christianity, like the common theme is that you will see a lot of convicts in prison who have a lot of prison time to serve. They will, quote unquote, find Jesus. And I think the reason why it is so attractive to certain folks is that it doesn't matter what they've done. Whether they've raped and murdered very young human beings. Doesn't matter. If they accept Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, they can go to heaven. They can stand right up there with their victims. If they unalive your parents and they're in jail and they pass away, they'll have a seat right next to your parents. Who can figure it out, right? Who even agrees with that? Then they said, okay, so if you notice, and I'll go into this when I go into the Word document, there's a font that they're using, and then in quotations, and the greatest of these is love, is in quotations, and it's in a different font. Which, I mean, there's a few things I'll say about that. Interesting to me, maybe not to you, but here we go. So if you look at the font of this, I feel, if you look at it closely, looks to be the font that Chucky was using in his Easter message. Let's compare. Close, huh? So that font is Century Gothic. Now I am going to go through and mark the particles of negation, and then I'm going to syntax it, and then I'm going to go back when I edit the video and make this next part really, really fast. And then I'm going to go in and explain very quickly and give closure to the forensics and the syntax values that I've banked. As usual, I have marked all the particles of negation in yellow. and I have syntaxed everything. So we have the as an adverb, modifying abiding into an adjective, which is coloring message into a pronoun. Nothing can follow a pronoun except for a break in the continuance of the evidence, or an adverb, which it is in this case. Of is an adverb, modifying Easter into an adjective, which is coloring is into a pronoun. That is an adverb, modifying God into a verb. So is an adverb, modifying loved into a past tense verb. The is an adverb, modifying world into a verb. And then you have the long dash, which means what follows the long dash is not on the paper. That is why I did not syntax the whole world, because technically it's not there. Then we have that as a pronoun, followed by adverb he, which is modifying sent into a verb. His is an adverb, modifying son into a verb. To is an adverb in the future tense, modifying live into an adjective, which is coloring among into an adjective, which is coloring us into a pronoun. To is an adverb in the future tense, modifying show into a verb. Us is an adverb, modifying how into a verb. To is an adverb in the future tense, modifying love into an adjective, which is coloring one into an adjective, which is coloring another into a pronoun. And then we have the comma, which is a break in the continuance of the evidence. And we start again with and, which is a pronoun. Now, some of you folks out there might say, well, no, and is a conjunction. Well, conjunctions are neutral. They're given a syntax value of 0. And what they do is they are not modified by anything, nor do they modify anything. And they serve as a bridge between what? Between adverbs, verbs, adjectives, or pronouns in the fiction, or any of the 5 syntax scenarios. But we see that is not happening here because we have this break in the continuance of the evidence, this comma. So essentially what we're looking at is this. And is not serving as a bridge between anything. So it's not performing its function as a conjunction, so therefore it is not a conjunction. It is a pronoun. And it's also non-tangible contract. And that's followed by to, which is an adverb in the future tense, modifying lay into an adjective, which is coloring down into a pronoun, followed by his, which is an adverb, modifying own into an adjective, which is modifying and coloring life into an adjective, which is coloring for into a pronoun, which we could also say is in the future tense, because that is why for is considered a particle of negation in the fiction, because it is future tense. Others is an adverb modifying in into a verb. A is an adverb modifying love into a verb. That is an adverb modifying proved into an adjective in the past tense, which is coloring stronger into a pronoun, followed by than, which is an adverb modifying death into a dangling participle verb. There is an adverb modifying are into an adjective, which is coloring 3 into an adjective, which is coloring virtues into an adjective, which is coloring that into a pronoun. Remember, folks, pronouns can either be tangible or non-tangible. So in this case, that is non-tangible, but it can be a pronoun because, just like verbs, pronouns can either be tangible or non-tangible contract. That's followed by the, which is an adverb modifying world into an adjective, modifying still into an adjective, coloring needs into a pronoun, and that's followed by the long dash, which does function as a break in the continuance of the evidence. However, it's followed by a full stop and not another long dash. So I don't take this as, I just treat this as a break in the continuance of the evidence. It's not bracketed or with quotations or, the same symbol on both sides of it. So therefore I don't treat it as such. It's still here for me. And so that's just a series of pronouns, and hope and love are connected by the conjunction, which, as you can see here, is serving its neutral function, and in this case is a bridge between two pronouns. And then we have this in quotations, which I did not syntax for the reason stated above, because it's preceded and followed by quotations. It is an adverb modifying is into an adjective, which is coloring with into a pronoun, followed by these, which is an adverb modifying timeless into an adjective, modifying truths into an adjective, and coloring into a pronoun. Now you notice I use these words modifying and coloring. They're interchangeable. The reason why I try my hardest to use the word modifying when I'm talking about adverbs, and I try to use the word coloring as it relates to adjectives. And the reason is I'm trying to help the students differentiate between tangible contract and non-tangible contract. The word modifying implies intangibility. The word color implies tangibility, because a color is something you can certify. Modifying is something you can't really certify. You can say that you changed something, but how do you say what a change is? You can color something. Oh, what's a color? Oh, you can see it's blue, it's red, you know what I mean? So that's the psychological teaching tool I'm trying to use here. I don't always do it. Sometimes I'll mix and match them just because of the, to err is human. But that's why I do that. Where was I? Not sure where I was. Okay, we'll start with my, which is an adverb, modifying mind into a verb, breaking the continuous of the evidence with this comma, and, which is a non-tangible contract pronoun followed by adverb my. As you can see here, and is not performing as a conjunction as it is here, so therefore it is a pronoun, followed by my, which is an adverb modifying heart into a verb. That is a pronoun, followed by I, which is an adverb modifying wish into a verb. You is an adverb modifying all into a verb. A is an adverb modifying blessed into a adjective in the past tense. And here we have a conjunction performing its duties as a conjunction, serving as a bridge between these two modifiers, blessed and peaceful. So the adverb A is modifying blessed into an adjective in the past tense, and that modification from the A is carrying across this bridge and, which is neutral, and also modifying peaceful into an adjective, and peaceful, the adjective, is now coloring Easter into a pronoun. And Easter is tangible contract. As we said before, tangible contract and non-tangible contract words can be pronouns. And then we have my best approximation of King Chucky's signature, Chucky R. So there you have it. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you learned something from it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments field. Que sera, sera.